Hey, it's Jared with Gear and Light. Today we're going to take a look at the top video settings to change on your Mavic Air 2S. Now, I use this as a professional drone. It is not maybe the highest end drone, but it is the most practical for me when I'm going out on shoots. Perhaps I'm doing real estate photography, or maybe a little bit of land surveying from the sky, or helping a home inspector out with getting some aerial shots. This is the go-to drone for me because it's very nimble, it's easy for me to carry, and it gets fantastic images. But when I'm shooting video, I need to make sure that I'm getting the best quality video out of this drone. And when you open it up out of the box and you go fly it and just leave it set to the default settings, it's not going to produce the best video quality. It's going to do a great job because DJI has done a good job of optimizing this drone for photo and video. But to get consistent, more cinematic video, you're going to need to understand how to use some of these controls. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the drone because we're going to run through some settings here together, and that's going to require the drone being powered on and of course the remote being connected to my phone. So I have the Air 2S here, I've got the control, I've got my phone attached, I'm just waiting for it to power up, and then of course I can go into fly mode here. And obviously I'm in a darker room. The settings on my camera is just going to show a black screen here. So just to kind of show you, let's see if I can get it light enough in here to at least register a little bit. There we go. You can kind of see a little bit of what's going on here. So first things that we are going to do, and you can see that maybe even some of my settings are a little bit different than what you are used to seeing because I have all of these options down here. The first thing we're going to want to do is go into probably the highest resolution that you can get with the video capture settings that you're looking to utilize. So for me, I typically am using 4K in something like the 24 to 60p range, depending on the frame rate I am looking for. However, this drone does go up to 5.4K, and I will often shoot at 5.4K because that gives me the most resolution, it gives me the most area to work with. I'm not editing my videos in 5.4K, I'm usually editing them in 4K, but what this means is that I have this larger image to work with, and if I need to get a little bit closer by like cropping in, I have a little bit of extra real estate to do that. I could crop in and still have a full 4K resolution image. And if I really need to crop in, I can produce a 1080p video and crop in a ton. This drone does not really have any zoom. There's no zoom in the lens. And so if you crop in on an image too much, then you're going to lose quality out of that resolution. So I highly recommend shooting at the highest resolution that you can. So for me, it's often either 5K 24p or 4K, either somewhere between 24 or 60p. Now, cinematic is 24p. That's what everybody will tell you. Video, most movies, all of the stuff out there that just has that cinematic feel is 24p. It's very easy to say, well, since this drone shoots in 4K 60, why don't I just shoot everything in 4K 60? And that's fine. But 4K 60 is going to be much sharper video. None of that natural motion blur is going to be there. And so I would only shoot in 4K 60 or even 2.7K 60 or 1080p 60, any of these higher frame rates. If you are having a need to slow down your footage, go with a slow-mo shot. And you know, you can't slow down 24p footage any more than it already is without having some weird effects. So that was just I went a little bit too far down that rabbit hole, but set the quality to the highest resolution, and unless you have a need to slow your footage down in post, then just shoot with 24p. So we are going to move on to manual camera controls. And manual camera controls is down here with this Pro icon. You can tap between Pro and Auto. Automatic is going to take your camera controls away from you and it's going to automatically set those settings. You're not necessarily going to get a consistent shot when this is the case. When your drone is flying around, it is going to change those exposure values based on the light that the camera is sensing. And that might be good in situations where things are changing rapidly and you don't have the opportunity to make those changes manually, but it's not going to give you consistency. So even if you're flying in a nice straight line and really nothing is changing as far as the lighting, if there's little instances where maybe you turn a little bit and the light is coming at a slightly different angle into the camera, your exposure could change, your white balance can change. And so I highly recommend going into Pro mode, which is going to allow you to change those camera settings on your own. Now, in talking about those manual camera controls, one that you want to keep under control is the ISO. The ISO is the sensitivity of the sensor, and it helps in boosting the amount of light that the sensor is able to see. You can make these changes with the shutter speed as well. The ISO helps you get just that much further and really helps out in lower light situations. However, the ISO is not... The sensitivity is not the best on this drone, as with most small sensor cameras like this. So you want to make sure that you are setting the ISO setting appropriately. Now, all you have to do is tap right here, and you can see there's an auto button. You can put that in auto, but I don't recommend it. I recommend going somewhere between 100 and 800, depending on the scenario that you're in. If you're in a bright daylight, outdoors, the sun is out, and it's just a nice bright day, then I highly recommend putting this at 100 and not going over that. 100 is the lowest setting that this drone has to offer, and it's going to provide you with the cleanest image overall. If you go up above 800, the image is going to start getting a little bit noisy, and you'll start to notice some of that grainy artifacting happening in the image, especially if it is darker out. And those darker colors that are going to come through in your footage, that noisy graininess is going to be noticeable there. And that's especially going to happen as you get to 1600 and beyond. You really only want to go 1600, 3200, or 6400 if absolutely there is no other way to get the exposure that you're looking for. The next item is the shutter speed. You want to set your shutter speed. Now, this you can set to auto if you would like. You could set it to auto, and then the drone will automatically make changes to the exposure. It won't boost the ISO because you have the ISO set, but it will make changes to the exposure as you're flying into different lighting conditions. However, if you're not going to be flying into different lighting conditions, I highly recommend that you set this manually and that you don't change it. So when I'm shooting real estate photos or when I'm shooting real estate video and I'm flying around the house, typically I want the exposure to stay the same as I'm going around the house. I don't want the house to start to get brighter because the exposure is changing, or darker because the light is hitting the sensor of the camera a little bit harder and the camera decides that it needs to knock that exposure down. I want it to be very consistent. So I don't often put the camera in auto mode for shutter speed. I will go and make a change here to the shutter speed manually. One thing to keep in mind when it comes to the shutter speed, your shutter speed needs to be 2 times the amount of the frame rate. So we talked about frame rates earlier, 24p, 30p, 60p. Your shutter speed needs to be double that. And so if I'm at 24p, then it makes sense for me to be at 1/50th at the lowest. And so I don't want to go down to 1/40th because that's lower than I need to be. I could go up to 160, I can go up to 180, I can go into any range that I want here that is above that 2 times rule, which is the 180 shutter rule. And so with that rule in mind, I want to make sure that I don't go below 1/50th. Now, if I was shooting at 60 frames per second, I wouldn't want to go below 120. And so I'd need to take the shutter speed up to 120. And you'll notice that the higher we go here with the shutter number, so 120, 160, 200, the less amount of light's hitting the sensor. And the smaller the number, shutter speed going down to 1/60th, 1/50th, it's letting in more light. And so when we're in lower light situations, we're definitely going to end up being more on the spectrum of 1/80th, 1/60th, 1/50th, and then we might have to boost our ISO up a little bit. Whereas if it's super bright outside, we might go down to 1/500th of a second or something along that line. Now, I highly recommend, if you're shooting out in bright situations, that you get an ND filter to put on the lens so that you don't have to boost this shutter speed. You don't have to speed it up so fast that you're up here in the 1/500th, maybe even 1/1000th range, because that's going to also make your footage just seem a little hyper realistic, and you want to have that natural blur, that natural motion blur that our eyes are used to seeing, that is considered cinematic. And in order to do that, you likely will have to minimize the amount of light coming into the sensor of the camera. Now, in figuring out how to get that exposure when we're setting the shutter speed, you want to look at the meter right here. You can see it's at -3 right now because it's super dark in here and the camera can't see any light. But in most situations, I'm going for around -1.0. Not 0. You would think 0 is perfectly neutral, but at times I found that 0 perfectly neutral is still overexposing some of the highlight areas, causing the image to have a loss of detail in those brighter areas of the image. So I often go and shoot at -1.0. When I'm editing the video, I could brighten it up a little bit. I could even brighten up specific areas of the video while maintaining detail in those highlight areas. So when I'm making adjustments, I'm typically setting the ISO as low as possible and setting the shutter speed to get the proper exposure that I'm looking for. If you are in auto shutter, you'll notice that you can tap on EV exposure value, which essentially is allowing me to manually set that metering, and I can go down to -1, and then the camera is not going to overexpose. It will keep that exposure level down. And so in those situations where the lighting is changing, things are changing, and I want to use automatic shutter, I can then tell the camera to go -1.0, preserving those highlight areas. Now, the last setting that I change all the time is the white balance. When you're out flying your drone and shooting video, if the white balance is set to auto, every time the camera moves around and brings additional things into the scene, it's going to change the value of the white balance to make it look what it feels is the best. Now, the problem with that is that as you're flying and you're going past trees, you're going to maybe where there's more sky, or there's something in the background that has a different color value, the camera is going to adjust to try and make that as best as possible. However, what that does is creates a color shift change throughout the footage of your video, and that is not realistic. Our eyes, when we're looking at things, are not auto white balancing all the time. Of course, in warmer tones, we can see the warmer tones. In cooler tones, we can see the cooler tones. And so when we're flying our drone around, we want to make sure that we set the white balance to a specific number so that the white balance is staying consistent. Now, if you're flying from outdoors to indoor or something like that, or flying from direct sunlight to maybe a really shady situation, then the white balance may need to be set to auto, just so that that transition doesn't end up being weird. However, in most situations where we're flying and we want some sort of consistency remaining in our shot, we want to set the white balance. And you can see here we can drag the white balance all the way from 2000 up to 10,000. Now, you can look up what a white balance would be for the scenario that you're shooting in. Most outdoors, when you're shooting out in sunlight, is going to be around 5,700 Kelvin. And when you're indoors, or depending on the type of lighting, it might be down more like around 3,400 or something like that. Most of the time I am shooting outdoors. I'm not typically shooting indoors with a drone, and so 5,600 is where I set it. If the scenario is cloudy out and the lighting just is a little bit cooler, then I will make adjustments for that. But I also make sure to match the white balance of this drone with whatever else I'm filming with. If I'm filming with the drone and some GoPros, I match the white balance. If I'm filming with the drone and other cameras like a Sony camera, so that the color that comes out is as close as possible to each other. Now let's go into actual camera settings. I'm going to tap on the icon up here and go into camera. Most of the time I'm shooting in MP4 format. Sometimes I will switch over to MOV, but most of the time MP4 formats. I set the camera to D-Log to get a more flat image out of the camera, because when I'm editing I want to have the color be consistent across the different cameras that I'm shooting with, and so shooting D-Log gives me a nice flat image that doesn't have a bunch of processing added to the image, and then of course I can add that in post. Now if you're not familiar with video editing and video color, then I highly recommend that you just go with either normal or HLG. And lastly, just a couple of tips to help you get better video. There are a few settings in here, such as overexposure warning, which is going to let you know when you have overexposed areas in your video. This is going to help you get to know how to set your settings more appropriately, having the overexposure warning turned on. I also often will turn on grid lines, because grid lines are going to help me better frame a shot. And so depending on the grid lines that I'm looking for, you can set one of them or you can set all three of them. I usually go with just the center kind of rule of thirds grid lines enabled. You also have peaking, which is for focus. Focus peaking works really well if you have things that you want to remain in focus, but tap to focus typically works pretty well, and keeping that focus locked on the subject or the item that you are wanting to film. I just use a tap. I don't typically mess with focus peaking. And then lastly, when it comes to utilizing the storage that is in your drone, the SD cards, I highly recommend starting out your session with formatting a card so that it has a nice fresh format on it. Don't format your cards on your computer or whatever other device that you put them in. Maybe you took the SD card out of your GoPro and you're putting it in your drone. I highly recommend that you format it in the drone just to prevent there being any issues with the drone writing to that SD card. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope that it helped. I know I explained a lot of things and maybe over-explained some things, but when it comes to understanding manual camera controls in anything, whether it be a drone or a standard camera, understanding what those settings do and how they're going to affect your overall shot are pretty important. So if you want more information on setting custom manual modes and stuff like that, I have a general photography course called Ditch Auto that I'll link to down in the description below. I'm working on updating that course and also working on a drone-specific Ditch Auto course. So if you're interested in that, make sure to head over to my website and sign up so you can get notified when that video comes out. I hope that this one was useful to you, albeit a little longer than I wanted it to be. If it was helpful, give the video a thumbs up and click that subscribe button to be notified when we put out new videos. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope to see you back here soon in another one. Take care.